The Recipe for Happiness. That was the title of my class, and it was such a hit. Just like the 5 love languages, this was an amazing class. The Recipe for Happiness is based on Miriam Adahan's teaching. She was here giving a workshop to parents in the yeshuv when I was new, maybe 10 years ago, and I really liked what she had to say, and I built on it and ran with it. And I want to share with you. I decided not to share the pre-recorded, the recorded live classes because they had people in them and questions that came up. And it's really important for me to protect your privacy. And if you asked a question at a class, I don't want to put that on YouTube. So I am re-recording it right now for you, and I hope you enjoy. The reason that is so important for me to give this class is because I'm obsessed with happiness. If you know me for any amount of time, you know that I love being happy and cheery and upbeat and uplifting. And it's so important for me that that the atmosphere is a positive atmosphere in my house with my friends. And for years, I was looking for tips and tricks and what works and what doesn't work to lift up and to make me happy or to make my friends happy. Something that I realized is that a lot of times we are dependent on external things for happiness, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Miriam Adahan is a doctor in brain research, I think. Ask her. Anyway, when she was here, she was talking about all about the brain and how the brain works. And she was researching the brain to find what makes it happy, what turns on the parts of the brain that make you feel happy, and how can we find the same things to turn on that part of the brain from within and not from external sources. So for example, if I tell you, chocolate makes me happy, that's great, but chocolate is external. So what happens when you don't have chocolate? Then do you have to have chocolate in order to be happy? It sort of reminds me of the video that we were watching with the kids called Inside Out. No, not Inside Out, Trolls. Inside Out is also a good movie, but Trolls is, I think, a Disney movie where they have this belief that they are dependent on eating trolls in order to be happy. Anyway, it's a very funny movie, and I could give a whole shear just on Trolls and another whole shear just on Inside Out. Or maybe I will, because I just came up with it now. The idea is that we want to find what it is that makes us happy from within, and the recipe for happiness will make you make that very clear. And the recipe is a 2-part recipe. The first part is grateful. And by the way, the second part is overcoming, or hitgabrut. We're going to talk about that in the second part of the video, but right now we're focusing on grateful. When you are grateful, and everybody is talking about this, everybody knows this because it is so based on research and obvious from life, people who are grateful and who are able to see what they do have are more happy in general. There's a great YouTube video about the Grateful Challenge, where if you take on 5, just writing down 5 things that you're grateful for every single day for 24 days, you will be way happier. Now here's the catch. You can't repeat. So you say 5 things today, and then tomorrow you have to come up with 5 new things, and then the next day 5 new things. And so you start getting really creative. What happened when I was doing this this challenge is that the first day was very easy. We just sort of spit out the first things that we are always saying. So I'm grateful that I could see, I'm grateful that I have a house, I'm grateful that I have kids, I'm grateful that I can walk and talk. Great, I got 5. Then the next day it was like, wait, I already said those things, so now I have to come up with new things. And eventually I was saying things like, I'm grateful that glasses exist and that, you know, I can have glasses to see better. I'm grateful that my parents taught me how to drive, because if I have to start from scratch as an adult, it would be a lot more expensive and a lot more of a hassle. I'm grateful for a lot of these different things that I had to push myself to be more creative and think about, because they didn't come as automatically to me. And the more you get this muscle of grateful strengthened, the more you're going to be able to see things that are positive and appreciate things that you actually have. We have a grateful jar that we made in one of the Rosh Chodesh parties here with Mrs. Karras. That was so much fun to make and decorate. But then afterwards, it was even more fun to watch the kids fill them out, and me included. I really enjoyed myself. Every time I had something, I would write it down and put it in the grateful jar. And what happens is you see it starting to grow with these little pieces of paper crumpled inside. And eventually, when I was giving the Zoom class and Mrs. Karras was there, it was so fun to read them and open them up and show you guys really what the things were, the things that the kids wrote. So for example, one of the kids said, I'm grateful we have homework, because it means that we're capable of learning by ourselves and being able to work. I'm grateful that I have a blanket, one of the kids wrote. I'm grateful that Ima let us have ice cream. It's these little things that you take the time to really give them validation. And I made up a word, legitimize, because in Hebrew, legitimatia. Anyway, so yeah, that was fun. There is a really fun podcast that I found recently, and I started listening to her. Her name is Jasmine Star, and she was talking about grateful, and it was so sweet what she said. She said she went to an old man who is her mentor, and she asked him, she can't come up with anything. Like, there's just, the automatic things. Yeah, okay, I'm grateful, begadol, but like, I can't come up with details. Like, it just feels so fluff. And so he told her this trick that he uses sometimes, and that is, think about if, let's say, suddenly tomorrow morning you wake up and there's only the things that you were grateful for. Like, you wake up out of your bed, and if you weren't grateful for having a hairbrush, then it's not going to be there. And so she went home and started making a list of all these things that she was grateful for, just by thinking about, hey, if they weren't here, then I would miss them. So I'm grateful for having them. I'm grateful that I have clothes that fit me and are, that work, whatever. You can go with this. When there's interaction, it's a lot more fun for me to give the class, because then there's like people telling me and saying, and there's more of a thing, but we're going to keep going. I'm very, very grateful if you would interact with me anyway and send me an email or some private messages about what things you're grateful for and what works for you to find grateful. By the way, in one of the classes, now that I'm talking about it, I'm remembering, one of the ladies said that she goes according to the ABCs, and she writes down all of the things she's grateful for by having the letters sort of guide her. And so there was another person in the group who said, I really hope you have a zebra, because what else are you going to write with Z? So that was really funny. But you could use any system that works for you, as long as you are using your muscle of grateful. You're strengthening your brain to focus on the things that you have, to focus on things you're grateful for, and be thankful for everything that you have. The second part of the class is about hitgabrut, and this is about victories and overcoming. This is how it works, okay? Your brain is inside your head. Right here in the front is the frontal cortex. It's called the frontal cortex because it's right here in the front, and it's the most important part. It's what makes the decisions and the logic and thinking and weighing different things, okay? That's where you want to be. And back here is the amygdala, which is the baby brain. It's all about the ego and the me, and I need food and I want, and this is what should happen. Now, we can call it the Yetzer Hara, the inclination, whatever. When you are faced with a decision of, I should, but I don't really want to, or I really shouldn't, but I really want to, so I will. Let's talk about, let's say the cake was calling my name and I really wanted to eat it, but I knew it wasn't good for me, and so I walked away. What happens is that you just made a decision to overcome that inclination, and that's huge. What happens in your brain? Mel Robbins talks about this in her 5-second rule. She wrote a whole book about this, and she explains a lot about the system, the science behind why it is that this works. The 5-second rule, whole premise is that you have an idea or a spark or some sort of like clarity of what needs to happen. Like, I really shouldn't eat this cake, right? So it happens right here. And then you have very little time, she calls it 5 seconds, till the amygdala wakes up and is like, wait, we really should eat that cake because it's so yummy and it's calling my name and I really want it and it's going to taste so good, and just one bite, and all these different things that are coming up from down here because it wants. And when we overcome that and say, nope, I'm not eating the cake, I'm walking away from the cake, walking away from the thing you don't want to do, or the opposite of, I need to go to the store and I really don't feel like it, and anyway going, doing that creates the biggest party in your brain, okay? That is, according to Miriam Adahan, what turns on your brain to have a party with sparkles and sprinkles and balloons and firecrackers. I don't know what. Your brain is having the biggest party of its life just because you overcame, because you did it. You did it. You actually didn't eat the cake and walked away, or you actually got up and went to the store when you needed to, and you didn't just lazy around and think, oh, I'll do it later or whatever. You did it. So there's a huge party and our brain is turned on, and there's this biggest happiness thing going on inside of us. But what happens? We've been so trained to turn it off. Like, who cares? Big deal. Everybody walks away from cake. It's not such a big party. And so we turn off the lights on our own party. We turn off the lights and say, it's not a big deal, okay? Like, don't make it into such a victory. I mean, it's just going to the store, or it's just doing dishes. Well, guess what? I didn't want to do dishes, and I went and I did dishes anyway. So I deserve this party. And the more that you validate your party, and the more that you let it be and celebrate it and uplift it and make it into something, the more you're going to be happy from within. And Miriam Adahan has this great thing where she tells people to take open up a notebook. One side is all the gratefuls, and the other side is all of your victories. Now, we talked about Mel Robbins talking about the 5-second rule, but we can also bring in Rav Kook, who talks about orot tshuva, which are the sparks of tshuva. When a person is living his life and suddenly out of nowhere, he has this like spark of, oh, I really should, or I really shouldn't. Those things are Hashem's gifts to us to give us clarity. Like, let's say you're in a dark room and you have no idea where you're going. So you're sort of paralyzed and walking very slowly. And suddenly you have this spark of light and it clarifies for just a second exactly what needs to happen. That's what's going on. You're getting these beautiful instincts of sparks of, I really shouldn't be doing this. Walk away from the cigarette, walk away from the Oreo cookies. It doesn't matter if you know it's bad for you, or if you know you shouldn't be doing something and you actually take action on that spark and you catch it and run with it, you are guaranteed the most happiness from anything. This will give you more excitement and more happy feeling in your brain than if you did any other thing that was external. Like, let's say we talked about before, eating the chocolate makes me feel happy and it makes me feel excited, but not as excited as if I went out of my way and really turned away from the things I shouldn't do and went towards the things I should do. So this, again, is a huge, huge thing. It's something that if you're educating children, what we want to do is educate them to be adults, okay? Everybody thinks that I want my kids to be good kids. No, I want to educate my children to be adults. To be able to function as an adult, you need to educate them now. And I'm not trying to just teach them how to be a robot or teach them how to follow instructions. I want them to strengthen a muscle that will give them the key to success in their life as an adult. And that is overcoming. The ability to overcome something that is hard for you is and you do it over and over and over again. And the more that you do it, and the more that you write it down, and the more that you validate it and celebrate it, the more you're going to have happiness and this amazing flow in your life, because you're not going to be beating yourself up or feeling like you wasted the day, but really you're going to be like, oh, look, I could see in my notebook that I wrote 3 things that I overcame today. That's amazing. And by the way, we were talking about educating kids. So she says to open up a notebook. One side is all the things we're grateful for. The other side is all the things that we overcame. And together, those are 2 of the same coin, 2 sides of the same coin. When you are in life, it doesn't matter if life is good or if life is hard. It doesn't matter if you have everything you need or if you're feeling like you're lacking. If you are able to be in one of those 2 sides of the coins, you are doing so well, because you can always, in any situation, fill up something in that notebook. So I have something, I'm grateful for it, great. I don't have it, I overcame not having it and I found a creative solution. Or I went out of my way and did something towards something that needed to be done. Something was hard for me and I did it anyway. Those things are going to make you super happy. And I just found something, and I might make a completely separate video about this because I think it's so amazing. I just found something in my drawer that I drew in one of the workshops. It is crazy. But she had us draw what we're scared of, and I was super scared to come out to the stage. And this is probably 2 years ago. I can't believe it. I found it and I was like, I forgot about this. And she had us draw something we're scared of, and then do an entire workshop around that and see what happens. And the other side of it, which is after the workshop, is that I'm standing in front of a microphone and I'm answering all the questions that come up in my head. So what are people going to say? And what am I going to say? What if I don't know what to say? What if I'm scared and I don't know, and this isn't the right time and I'm not ready and I don't like hearing my own voice or seeing my own face in the camera? All these different things that were coming up for me. And then how I intuitively was able to answer each and every one of them. Like, Hashem is with me and he tells me what to say. I don't care about what other people are going to say. If you don't like me, don't follow me. That's fine. If you like me, follow me. Come join my email list and follow my journey. It's been so much fun. It's been so scary. And I have a bunch of YouTube videos that I really enjoy making, and those are edited, and I could really chop up and be like, okay, what else am I saying? But here, when it's an entire shiur and it's recorded and I've decided not to edit it, it's a lot more on the spot and scary, and maybe I won't remember the right words or I won't have the right things, but I'm overcoming it, and it makes me so happy. And it's crazy how my own shiur is working on me. But it really, if I could sit around and say, well, it's too scary, it's overwhelming, I don't know how to do it, it's too technical, whatever it is, or I have to put myself out there. But this is, if you heard a lot of some of my other shiurim, it's part of my journey. Hashem is telling me you have to get out there, and I call on you to inspire people and to help people. I also work one-on-one with amazing women, and one of my favorite things to do is help them see how much they are overcoming and how much they can overcome. And by the way, it's a choice that you make every single second. So if you didn't overcome one day, it does not mean you're not going to overcome today, the next day, or the next minute. And it's just amazing to see the transformations that are happening with my help. And I just feel so blessed and grateful, and see how I went from like overcoming to grateful. You could go in a loop your entire life just with those two things. And you don't need much. You just need to be where you are and do what you're doing. And every single step of the way, make the decision that sparks you. So if you're connected and really present, you will know what to do. And sometimes, by the way, it's the right thing to do to eat the cake. And sometimes it's the right thing to do not to go to the store and stay home instead. So the only person who will know what the right thing is only you. And that's one of the things that I really try to infuse in all of my classes, is the only person who knows is you. And the only person who knows to validate and celebrate what you just did is you. For example, I don't like doing dishes. And when I do dishes, it used to be the voice in my head would say, so what, big deal. But it was very sad, because I went out, I did the dishes, I overcame not wanting to do the dishes, and then I didn't even celebrate, because who cares? Everybody does dishes. Dishes is such a little thing. But no, I did the dishes. Yes. And the more you train yourself to celebrate and to go woohoo, the more you are going to feel the happiness that is actually being turned on in the brain. So thank you so much for coming to my class. The live classes are always way better than the recordings. And I love your interactions. So please come and join my email list. Follow me on Facebook, on Instagram. I love Instagram DMs. You could DM me anytime and I will answer it myself, because they're just so much fun. And yeah, subscribe. Anyway, thank you very much. I hope you are connected for real, because that's my website, ConnectedForReal.com. Bye.